Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I thought we were done already. I thought that was it.
All right, Douglas. Here we go.
Okay. Catch my breath. All right. Aloha, everyone. Welcome back to Talk Story Unscripted. I am Doug.
And I am Pete.
Today, we are honored to have Mark Sawyer Chu with us today. Mark, thank you for joining us.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me. So stoked to see you guys.
Good to see you too, man.
Blessed to catch up with you guys.
Absolutely. Mark, when I first met you, it was on the North Shore on Oahu, and you were helping out with an outreach on the North Shore called Sunset Fest. So
Yes.
how have you been? What have you been up to? Like, what's new in your life?
Well, that's a pretty epic event. It's probably one of my all-time favorite events that I've worked on, and we're actually on the call with one of the co-founders, Pastor Pete, right there. And I think that was all his brainchild. And so, and then I think it happened 2 years, right, Pete? And are you guys doing it for a third year this year?
They did it for a third year, but I wasn't involved in it. But yeah, it was a little bit different. But yeah, 2 years with you and I involved, it was good. Yeah, it was a great time. It was really good. Hey, but you know what? Where are you now, Mark? For the people who are watching this, where are you now?
That's a good question, and I totally didn't answer Doug's, so I'll do it now. So basically in Hawaii, we're normally there for work for the band's Triple Crown in the winter, obviously being the Super Bowl for surfing. But after we came back the next year, we had our baby girl, Luana, that we just spoke about earlier on December 13th. So she was born in December, so obviously we couldn't get over to Hawaii that particular month. But the Lord knew what obviously was coming next year in 2020 with COVID and coronavirus. And we actually had flights to come out to the Canary Islands, which are owned by Spain, but they're off Morocco. So geographically speaking, they're African islands, but they're owned by Europe, which is pretty cool. So if you're in any part of the EU, it's easy to get here because it's just it's freedom of movement. It's just like traveling between the States and the U.S. And so my wife has had a surf house, bed and breakfast business out here, which is actually this Oasis Surf House.
I've got to ask you a question. As a matter of fact, I was speaking to a friend, and I was telling him I'm getting together with you. And
awesome.
I said, the one question I want to ask him is, are there a lot of canaries on Canary Island?
There are 0 canaries here. In fact, it's probably one of the first questions I asked as an American when I moved over here.
Then?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't got an answer on that. Maybe I just need to ask Wikipedia or Google or just pray about it. I'll look it up and I'll send you guys an answer. But no, there's no canaries here. But it's good.
I'm disappointed.
There's no sharks, which is what I care about when I surf. And so, but. Yeah, no, it's a pretty, like, the island we're on is very kind of like deserty. It kind of looks like, people call it like it looks like the moon. They filmed a Doctor Who episode here way back in the day, and it's got a lot of volcanoes. All are inactive, but it's just got a crazy landscape. And so, but each island is dramatically different. There is one that's like very green and lush, like Hawaii, with like waterfalls and all that kind of stuff. And so, you guys just got to take a mission trip out here. So
those of you who are watching this, you're probably wondering, why are we interviewing this guy, right? Well,
you need someone to bring up the bottom.
So
the last shall be first.
Yes, exactly. So to explain why Mark is our 45th podcast, Mark Sawyer Chu is involved in marketing. And you might wonder, well, what is marketing?
I really equate it to how we live our lives as Christians in the Great Commission. It's just sharing, and a lot of marketing nowadays is all about being authentic, and storytelling. And what greater story do we have than the greatest love story ever told by Jesus Christ for mankind? So
that's great.
That becoming a believer. When I was in my mid-20s, really, it was actually kind of before I was in marketing, and learning about the Great Commission and evangelism and apologetics and the need to share the gospel. That was what helped me with my marketing, and thinking about how do you reach people, how do you talk to people, how do you communicate a message, how do you tell a story, how do you get people to understand a brand or a product, and so. That's the ultimate marketing plan right there, the Great Commission.
That's cool how your walk with God is kind of fed into your, to do your profession of how to, how to reach
100%.
people.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't obviously be here without the favor of the Lord and the journeys and the places and the jobs that He's taken me through throughout my career. But He's changed me from the inside out, and He's obviously taught me everything I know. But that's at the end of the day, when you do your job as a marketer, you do it as honestly as you can and as truthfully with the character that God's built up in us. And so that's. And I feel like that's, if you can do that and you can just be authentic to yourself and obviously the Lord and be a good steward, then you've done your job. You do your best and let Jesus do the rest.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. To change gears on you just a little bit, going back to the stuff how I first met you, which was you being involved with Sunset Fest. You seem to be have a lot of focus in the surf industry. And I was just curious as to how you got involved with that.
I'll try to make a long story really short. So basically, when I became a believer, that's when I started surfing. So it was a bit later in life, but that's the consequence of growing up in North Dakota, being born in Norway, and living in the Midwest as an Asian, which is Asian American, which is interesting. Wow. But finally moving to California, going to school in Santa Barbara. But I skated and I snowboarded beforehand, and obviously pre-Jesus days for me. But moving to LA, kind of getting my first jobs in advertising. I had a boss that just dragged me in the water. I didn't want to start it. I just thought it was the stupidest thing, and ended up loving it. And so wow. It was great. So that's kind of around the same time I got saved and gave my life to the Lord and started following Him as well. And then I stumbled upon Christian surfers at a Bethany Hamilton outreach. I think just a year or two after she lost her arm in the shark attack. Wow. And then ended up with a brief stint at Surfer Magazine. A couple guys that I met from there had started the Inertia in 2010. And I did a little stint at Surfline as well in Huntington Beach. And so I was kind of able to move around between the media mags and brands in the space. And that really, helped me establish all my networks and all my contacts. And I was able to kind of really build a solid client base from that. And so, and really with Surf Now, they've really kind of, with marketing, have gone like a non-endemic route, bringing like a lot of brands that aren't necessarily surf brands, but bringing them into the surf and outdoor space. Right. And there's a big crossover now between obviously outdoor lifestyle, like the North Face and big brands like that. So that was my kind of general secular advertising marketing background, working with bigger brands, and then kind of going into surf and as a surfer myself. And so being able to kind of blend those two ended up just being a huge blessing from the Lord, and then be able to start my own, consultancy company. So I've been able to work with a couple film festivals now. I was able to work with Pastor Pete and Pastor Larry Garrett for Sunset Fest. And then got invited to be on the board for Christian Surfers International. So, and as you guys know, surfing is a very small world. I always say you don't need Kevin Bacon in surfing because, it's 0 degrees of separation. So, or you just got to know Jesus, and he connects you with everyone in the whole world. That's right. So since he wants to have a relationship with everyone, but yeah, no, it's been great to see the industry grow. Obviously, it's been a difficult year for a lot of people and a lot of brands and across, of course, not just the surf industry, but across other industries as well due to COVID. But it's been great to marry, to answer Doug's question, marry my secular training and work and marketing and advertising with obviously my personal passion of surfing, and then using that as well in ministry with Christian surfers, and reaching the people that we're around and people that we do life with.
Dude, that's awesome. Anytime I'm around surfers, I lose my cool card really quick, because I feel like me and a surfboard go together like chocolate and what's something that chocolate wouldn't go well together with, Pete? How about hamburger? Yeah. Chocolate and hamburger. That's me and surfing. Yeah. We mesh that well.
That might be popular though in some countries, Doug.
Yeah.
So there's hope for me then. I guess
Yeah.
thank God for that.
There you go.
So Mark, you and I, we got to work on Sunset Fest. Tell the people what you actually did, especially the second one. Remember, we were constantly texting each other and on the phone, and I really appreciate the work you did. Let everybody know exactly what you were involved in, what you did.
Oh gosh, Pete, I probably did the least amount of work on the team that you had. That was such an amazing team, and the real heroes are those guys that went all around the North Shore and Hollywood Town, the island, and stapling up all the posters by hand, and probably getting calluses, doing all the real hard work, and going to all the cafes and telling people. For me, it was just trying to invite some of the people, the ambassadors, the athletes, the well-known characters, the pro surfers in our industry that, are known to follow Jesus as well, and invite them to come speak and share their testimonials. And so I love that whole format that you guys created for that, where there was music, there was the food trucks, there was the talk story and the testimonials with everybody at the church, and just, having people sit on the couch and really, speak authentically. And so for me, it was just, people that I already work with for my job with the Inertia, and then obviously having contacts through Christian Surfers, and it's just reaching out to those guys. Because, I try to let them know that, hopefully most of them know that I'm a believer. If not, I'm not doing a very good job of living my life out. But, seeing them at contests and events, letting them know that, hey, like, I'm not necessarily a chaplain, or, I'm just a brother in Christ that loves them. And I'm there, if they want to pray or if they want to be encouraged. And it's just reaching out to all those same guys to invite them out to Sunset Fest, because obviously they have a voice, they have a social following.
Right.
They're obviously known for who they are as surfers, but who are they as spiritual beings? And so, that was the least I could do for you guys. And I hope that event continues to go for a long time to come, despite the weird year that we're having.
Yeah.
It was so cool to meet like Aaron Gold and hear his story and stuff. Some of those guys that
Aaron's
you
a
had
legend.
connections with, that was it was so cool. Aaron surfed the biggest wave ever surfed, isn't that right?
Yes, I think Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah, without being towed in, yeah.
Right.
So that, I think that was at Jaws.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing was massive. Yeah. And it was great too, Mark. Mark was up there interviewing these guys, which was really great. I really appreciated that. It was so fun, because you're one of those guys that don't have much energy. You're pretty low key. No. I'm a drainer. Yeah, I got to cut it back on the Red Bull and this Amazon. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't buy me like 2 cups of coffee, because then I'll just be out the door. But that was a blessing to have you guys invite me back and actually be one of the, I think it was Reef Hazelwood, who actually had an amazing year, and is one of the Grammies that came out of Christian Surfers Australia. So we had actually met each other years before that when he was a bit younger, and so and then he had an amazing season as a wild card the year after. So thank you guys for continuing to invite me back for that.
So Mark, you mentioned that you are also doing some marketing for some film festivals. That sounds really interesting and right up our alley. What are you doing for them? What are you actually doing for them specifically? And tell us about these film festivals.
So that one's a bit different. I know a lot of the guys that are involved with that, and the guys that spoke last year, like Jeremy Jones and Greg Long, big wave surfer. But these guys I just know through the surf and outdoor industry in California, and they just started a festival called the Coast Film Festival in Laguna Beach. Laguna has never had, it's a very nice area. It's probably one of the nicest towns in Orange County. Bob McKnight lives there. He's, founder of Quicksilver North America, but they've never had like an outdoor venture film festival. And so, and like I said, now there's a big movement from the surf industry to really learn and meld with the snow and the outdoors world,
So let's say, Mark, that Calo TV was going to start its own film festival, and the script here tells me wink, so wink, wink. And what advice would you give to us to start our own film festival?
You heard it here first, folks.
Well, I would hire some Asian American dude in California that splits his time with the Canaries. No, I'm just kidding. Hire someone better than that guy. Hire Alex Kendrick, and well, bring him there. Show his films, and get him on a talk story with you two. Just Pastor Pete, you got to give 6 feet separation keep Doug 6 feet away from him. But no. It's kind of what Alex said. You just commit it to the Lord, and you just pray over it and say, "Hey, Lord, is this idea from you? And will you use this for your glory?" And it's interesting. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think if there have been. I know there's obviously a lot of Christian music festivals, that's again why I love Sunset Fest, because there's this mix of everything, food and music and culture and surf and stories, but I can't think of a Christian. I'm sure there's been some sort, Christian film festivals out there somewhere in the world, but I can't think of any prominent ones off the top of my head. And so I think you guys are well positioned to start one. And I would definitely, obviously, situations permitting, I would fly out there in a heartbeat to be involved and to see that. And
deal. We'll see you when you get here tomorrow. Is that you got a 14-day quarantine?
Yeah, we're gonna need the cases and the curve to kind of get flattened for that to happen. But maybe I'll just paddle over.
There you go.
Exactly. Might take me 50 years.
What's the first steps that you would take?
Gosh, I mean, really, it's just, securing a venue, which I think you guys have started to work on, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if we're allowed to disclose that. I didn't sign any NDAs before the call, but, finding a venue, praying over that space, prayer walks, getting your guys' families' blessing, since it's obviously going to, take a lot of your guys' times as dads and husbands. And having, your wives, your family support you, having your church support it, and, asking for God to really open the doors, getting people like Alex Kendrick to come out, other Christian filmmakers, the guy that you mentioned on the next podcast that directed I Still Believe.
John Irwin.
John Irwin, yeah. And so, and getting, the actors out and getting good submissions and showing quality films. And then, but nowadays it's such a hybrid, like we were talking about, everything's evolved to more of an experience. And so it's obviously you're going to have food, obviously you're going to have something interactive, and you'll have, like-minded brands there and other churches. What are you guys calling it?
The Kahlo Film Festival. Come on,
there you go.
That's as simple as can be. Yeah, so it's good. And by the way, you're hired.
I will not accept payment except for maybe a burger that you talked about that's ground in coffee. That's the most I'll accept as payment. No, if I get to see you guys, that's payment enough for me.
Chocolate covered hamburger. That's what we need, right? Because
there you go. Christian chocolate covered hamburger. Has Hawaii had a Christian film festival before?
Not that I know of. Not a Christian one.
Not a Christian one. There is a Honolulu Film Festival.
Yeah.
So it would be great to have a Kahlo Film Festival. And as a matter of fact, the place we're thinking of already has a Kahlo field in it. So Kahlo, I don't know if you realize this, Mark, but Kahlo is a particular plant. That's where they make poi from, and it's one of the most nutritional plants on the island here. And it's not just here, it's all over. But yeah, so it works. It's perfect. Kahlo Film Festival.
Heck
and
yeah.
Of course, very serendipitous. Yeah. Not Kahlo Film Festival, the Kahlo Film Festival.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right.
There is a silicone ring company that is called Kahlo. You should get them to sponsor I'll get them to sponsor the film festival.
Deal.
He's working already. I love it. I love it. Good job. Yeah. And, so in regards to marketing, would you say marketing is really important for the creative people out there? I mean, is that the next step? So let's say Doug and I, we direct a film and then we need to get it out there. Is that when we come to you as a marketer? We say, hey, Mark, help us get this film out there. Is that what you do as a marketing person?
Yeah, it's one of the many things I do. Obviously, again, I relate it back to sharing Jesus, but obviously that's the greatest thing that any of us can market. But obviously as marketers, you got to market films, you got to market board shorts, hats, t-shirts, surfboards, whatever that is, or surf trips, whatever the product or service is. And so you just got to communicate value. And obviously you have to be creative in terms of how you communicate value. So that could be copywriting, that could be art direction. My specialty is more like media placement. And so what type of media, do you use to communicate that creative message? But so someone like me isn't necessarily the creative, but I work with the creative guys. They give me the creative assets, and that's what I use in the marketing plan. And so, but a lot of times, I'll ideate with them. I was just on a call before this. I won't mention it, but it was with a big energy drink company, and they want to address what's happening in the world right now. But they've got to do it very tactfully because they've got such a big brand, and they have amazing athletes that have millions of followers that want to get involved. And want to make change and don't want to sit on the sideline or be silent. And so it's ideating with them. How do we help your athletes, and how do we tell this story that you guys will co-produce with us? But tell it in an authentic way that is obviously still true to your brand, but really true to the cause and to the movement. And so there's obviously the more creative you can get, honestly, the better marketer that you are. And obviously not all ideas are great ideas, but the more ideas that you can come up with, especially nowadays, because, everyone's kind of so oversaturated with, media and social and phones and laptops and, outdoors and, people still read newspapers and other traditional mediums, but obviously the media consumption has changed a lot now. So you do have to get creative in terms of how you tell your message, how it sticks out and stands out from the crowd and other, what other people are marketing at the time. And so, but if you have a unique story, like, for example, that's why I asked if there's been a previous Christian film festival in Hawaii. If it's the first, that's something that you can definitely market off right away. Right. And that's something you can take to all the churches and say, hey, we're going to create the first Christian film festival in Hawaii. We need you guys to help get behind us.
Wow, that's awesome. Really cool, dude.
Okay, Doug, we're on to something.
I know. That's serious, man. I love what you said, Mark. It really caught my ear about communicating value, right? That's what you do as a marketer, and it's what you do as a follower of Christ, communicating the value of the Lord in your life and communicating value of a product. That's testimonials. That's really unique, man. And unfortunately, we are almost out of time. So I want to just bring one more question to you. And that is,
sorry to talk you guys' ear off.
No, I love it. This is fantastic. Mark, what advice would you give to a believer, to a Christian who's wanting to get into the marketplace as a marketer? What kind of advice would you give to them?
That's a good question, Doug. I think it really just depends on the industry. And it's just, for example, if they wanted to get into, the Christian creative film business, it's, emailing Doug and Pastor Pete on this podcast, ask them, beg them for an interview, take them out to coffee, take them to buy them a burger that's coffee flavored, and say, hey, can I shadow you guys? Can I interview you guys? Can I learn from you guys? And, from there, you network, you build contacts, just like, all of us got to start someplace. Right. You learn your skills. You find those who've been in the business a long time, reach out to them on LinkedIn. Obviously, it's a lot different now, a lot harder to meet with people than it has been in previous years. But, get 5 minutes on Zoom call like this and just pick their brain, have your questions ready. Reach out to brands that align with your values, with who you are as a person and your heart and your mind, and see if there's any work that you can volunteer or do with them. And there's so many great nonprofits. There's so many great ways to kind of get involved, but it's really just surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you, that have been in business, that are seasoned, and people that you can learn from. I think we call it discipleship making, and so just passing on what we know, and so encouraging others in what the walk and the path that we have, and so that's my best. I think that's how I got started, and I just got lucky to meet the right people along the right way. But there's so many different podcasts about how everyone kind of just started somewhere, and sometimes you are born into families that are just naturally, privileged, but luckily we've chosen the family of God, and what a great father to have to look over us and give give us privileges other than Jesus. And so there's
So
no better
good.
family
That's awesome.
than the family of the Lord.
Yeah. I've got one last question for you.
Okay.
Let's say those who are Christ followers out there, those who are living their life for Jesus, and they're in the marketplace. What
Okay.
advice would you give to them, especially in this climate, in the world we're living in right now? How can they up their marketing game for whatever they may be marketing, whether it's food or whether it's a product? What advice would you give them in today's climate?
Yeah, I mean, today's economy and climate is definitely more challenging, obviously for the reasons that we see in the news right now. It's really just speaking true, and again, it's a buzzword. Everybody uses it, and maybe it's overplayed, but it is really just being true to who you are as a brand or who you are as a person, and whatever product or service that is. Again, we alluded to earlier, it's speaking to your strengths, what makes your food different, what makes your service different, what makes your surfboard different, what makes your film festival different, and what kind of content is it? And so, what causes are you involved with that you give back to? And so people want to be part of a movement, nowadays. And they want to align with brands, whether it's restaurants or clothes or apparel or whatever, surfboard brands, that they want to align with brands that they are, they have something they're like-minded in, and they have something they believe in. And so that's why so many brands have a nonprofit nowadays that they align with, because that's part of their whole marketing plan. And so, and it's necessary for a lot of people. And the brands that really don't align with a particular, I don't want to say movement, but a lot of those brands are kind of fallen by the wayside because people don't really associate them with something when they think of their brand. And there's, people want it when they hear a name, they want to be able to know, like, oh, this person or that person stands for this, or that this company stands for that. And so Patagonia is a great example. Like, they're one of the first early on in this, and a lot of people have followed the way Patagonia have marketed themselves as a brand. And so, that's the challenge is and look, really self-evaluate. There's so many different ways to do it. You can hire agencies to do it, or you can just, as a Christian, especially, just, ask the Lord to search your heart. But Lord, give me the ideas, give me the rationales of like how I can share why my product and why my service is different. And again, you do your best and you let the Lord do the rest.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Wait, hold on a second. Yes, I'm going to do it. I just talked to the producers and they told me to go ahead and offer you this. This is your first payment. Get over here and be our marketing guru.
I don't know if I can tithe that. That might be too much. I'll just take my inheritance in heaven.
That has George Washington on it.
Yeah, we'll do this one then. We'll do this one then. Then this might work for you. Or you know what?
Okay.
What the heck? We're just going to throw it all in, Mark, because we believe in you and we need you as our marketing person. All right? So come on down,
you take that, you give that to the church, and I will gladly work for free. As long as I get to work with you guys.
You heard that.
No,
you heard that from Mark Sawyer Chu right there. Boom. And, just make sure you bring Lydia and your little one. What's her name again?
Okay. Her name's Luana Sawyer Chu.
Luana, and Sharon's here waiting, arms open wide. Sharon. And, that way you can go work. And man, we're going to have a great time. We're going to create this incredible festival. And it's going to be a success because Mark's involved. I'll tell you that right now. It's going to be
the Lord's behind Mark.
That's what I say. The real ingredient that you want involved is the Lord. And so
this is true.
If, as badly as I could probably screw it up, if the Lord's involved, it's going to be okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So good to see you guys. Yeah.
All right, man.
Love you guys.
God bless.